So it's just change the rules gets to be just difficult. Change the goal line. It just keeps me in everlasting confusion. I don't know.
I'm going to grant a judgment for possession and termination of the tenancy. Thomas, how are you intending on getting that paid?
The house wasn't in the best living situation or suitable situation for me and my child. I asked to be released from the lease.
Starting with Mr. Riemann struggling to maintain his lease while dealing with poor maintenance and the unavoidable termination of his tenancy. Let's watch this.
Northfield Estates versus Carl Riemann.
The defense for the plaintiff.
Is that you, sir?
I'm Carl Riemann.
All right. This is a termination case, and you adjourned us out for you to seek the advice of an attorney. So where are you now on this case?
I adjourned it to seek advice. I failed to get any attorneys to get involved. I got warning that I'd be postponed a week last week. And then that never followed through to get anything more further done. I just counting on my Apple phone for a computer these days. I'm just, at a lurch of, just living as feeble as I am these days with, my brother just got committed to hospice this week, and I'm just mixed up with just trying to pay off. You see how I survived my sewer bill or my gas bill, I should say, for over the winter time, and then the surprise of Northfield Estates not accepting, refusing April's rent. I never got, I guess I get answers. I guess anything to do with the management, it's like answering a question with a question. And it's just like, change the subject to just keep me confused is all. That's my best defense I have with my management. And just fix this, fix that. Like I'm just a, bleeding deacon of money. And I'm just trying to balance out, that they say things, they like my first initial leak was the back bathtub leak, and the water got in, and around to my back porch enough to surge the porch up, so my porch is pushed up in the back, and that with the winter freeze, and so just that's just all of a sudden that just crushed that, and it's like, gee, I know I have some ideas to fix it, and it just, I just don't, I just stay terminally confused. I don't know how to. My best defense is confused. I seeking lawyers. I guess I would just get real frustrated with getting callbacks and any direction to go fixing my. I guess the latest one.
But they're alleging they're trying to terminate your tenancy. What's your defense to them terminating your tenancy?
I guess what's just what's my response to that? I guess fix my front door. My front storm door was their latest thing that they put to be a diligent thing to fix, and they're saying that when when it was still frozen in the ground because the hinge broke off, and I'm gonna fix that, and then fix my skirting and
have you got all of that? You don't have it all fixed.
I don't have it all fixed. I'm plenty busy with trying to find my balance of money, and my older brother, last of my family to be on this side of the grass that has been kind of troubling me. And I guess, just communication with the management it's just answer a specific question or ask a specific question and it gets switched to something else. And it gets so frustrating. It just helps encourage ADD or something. I don't know. That's my nicest way to put it, I guess.
Your Honor,
so
Sir, yes, go ahead, Mr.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is a termination for just cause based on failure to maintain the appearance and yard upkeep. I have received updated photos from my client as of 2 days ago. The home and site are still not up to community standards by any means. I do show that Mr. Ryman painted his home. It's still not up to standard. The skirting's not fixed. There's a ton of trash on the site. There's a ton of trash on the deck. The deck still needs to be redone. There's a lot of condition issues that are still existing as of today.
Well,
And you're not disputing that, you're just
no,
saying.
I'm just, first of all, I guess the paint was painted when my wife was still alive, that, she passed away early 2022. And and we went through the process, a park approved color, and painted that. And then, I had some
But
T111.
so you're admitting that the skirting isn't up and there's
the skirting.
issues with the deck. I think you mentioned something.
Yeah, skirting in the back was not really visible. It's
Well, but
and
you still have to paint it.
yeah,
All right, look, sir,
I guess excuse me, Your Honor, I guess the park approved color for my paint, I guess I just want to add in, like the modern day, I guess I'm surrounded by aluminum siding mobile homes, and I have T1, wooden siding one, and the park approved color thing. It's like, gee, just no, we went through the process to be approved the color to paint it, and so it's just changed the rules. Gets to be just difficult. I don't know. Move the goalpost. I said it right to Jeannie's face, the manager. Change the goalpost, makes it a little change the goal line. It just keeps me in everlasting confusion. I don't know.
all right, so here's the deal. I don't see anything I can try. You've admitted that you haven't kept the property up to standards regarding everything, and I'm not even necessarily talking about the paint. I'm talking about there are other conditions on the premises. So I'm gonna find that there's no tribal issue for the court regarding that. I'm gonna grant a judgment for possession and termination of the tenancy with the writ date of June 6, 2025. What I suggest you do, sir, is, you're gonna have to move, or you're gonna have to figure out a way to get out there and try to get done and deal with management.
Deal with management. I guess then she can reverse this.
Well, they can, if they choose to, they can work with you. But I think quite frankly, sir, there are things that you're gonna have to do to try to make sure to get that property up to community standards.
Now it's Ms. Taylor scrambling to cover $9,600 in back rent while banking on a shaky $6,000 promise and last-minute housing aid to avoid eviction. Let's see how the judge handles this.
For Woods versus Sherry Taylor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Sydney Fine, LMP 86316 for the plaintiff.
And good afternoon, Sydney. Your name?
Shari Taylor.
All right. And where are we on this case?
Your Honor, I believe that last week was the hearing on the motion to set aside the dismissal and reinstate case, and so you adjourned this for a second hearing. My understanding is that she was expecting to get some payment from some agency, so I would inquire as to what the status is about that.
We haven't heard from them yet, but we're still waiting on what they say, how much we're getting. And I won't get paid for my job until next Friday, I believe. And I had called them to see if they can work with me, but the office said they won't.
Hold on a moment. So first thing, let me start here. There was 2,053 that was supposed to be paid May 16. Did that get paid?
Your Honor, so I do show that that was posted to the ledger on May 21st. Would you like me to run through what's currently due?
Pardon?
Would you like me to run through what's currently due?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so there's rent due of $9,421.78, court costs of $185 for a total of $9,606.78.
$606. What was the cents? I'm sorry.
78 cents.
78 cents. Okay, so you did make that payment.
Yes,
Okay, because it from the last time that we were here. Okay. And then how much were you supposed to receive from these other individuals?
I think it was 6.
6. I remember you saying 6 because I thought we were still going to be about 3 short
Yeah,
with everything.
I
But
think
then you say you get paid on the 30th, and how much is that?
depends on what how long the job was this whole entire week. But usually it's about 3 or maybe 400.
300. Okay, but that helped kick this balance up, because even if, let's say it was the maximum of 4, I'm still $3,200 short.
Yeah, and I was trying to see if they could work with us, because I know I can pay next month's rent on time. It's just the back rent I need to pay off. And I was trying to work with that, see if I can.
Okay, but here's my problem. My problem is this 6,000 or thereabouts, we don't know when that's coming or if it's coming,
Yeah, I don't know.
right? And so if the 6,000 doesn't show up, then you don't even necessarily have a plan as to how there's 9,000, almost 9,500 gets paid, right?
Yeah, but I was getting help from family and friends with the rest, if the 6,000 came.
All right, well, I don't really have anything to
And
try.
I have
Go ahead.
And I have an appointment with Hawk coming too.
Okay, but here's gonna be the problem. And I think you might have mentioned something about Hawk before.
Yeah,
If the 6,000 was paid, right?
yes.
And you said that man, and then you get to, let's say you got 400 from your check. So you knock that off. Then I'm at about $3,200, not going into June. And then if you can find a way to get 200 and Hawk had the money, they would pay 3, but you have to get this balance under 3,000 before Hawk's gonna do anything.
Honestly, it's crazy how these people feel so entitled that they owe so much on rent and feel Hawk will magically sort it out.
Right?
Yes.
So that's the problem. It's the logistics of trying to, as to when these payments are in. But even at this point, I can look at all of that, but at this point, I don't even have the 6,000. And that's gonna be the biggest chunk of all of this. All right? So who's supposed to pay the 6?
My mom knows the name of the people. I can't remember it.
Mom here. Come on up. Who's supposed to pay that?
It's through the agency, it's a community health agency that's my cousin. We will be over her health.
Pardon?
Her health care to help her in the house. So they giving us a lump sum because they owe us for that. That money is coming, so we should know something by next week with that, because we talked to the lady the other day.
Here's what I hear you. I don't have anything to try in the case. Okay, I reinstated the case on this. You made that one payment. I think if the 6 came in, maybe your landlord will work with you to try to do that. But even if the 6 comes in, and then you can get another 6 and work with Hawk, you might be able to secure that other 3. You follow me?
It's 9,000.
It's
Right.
9, but if the 6 came in, then that would take you down to about 3,600.
Right, and
Hawk's maximum is 3,000,
correct.
but that you'd have to get all of that accomplished before June kicks in, because June is gonna kick that
Yeah,
balance.
that's the problem. Their dates is out far, so, and you usually can't get a
Right,
date
but
without a,
Hawk isn't gonna do anything.
correct.
They can't even make a promise to you, because you would have to show them that this balance is gonna be under 3,000 or 3,000 or under. Right? I mean, that's gonna be the problem. All right. But I don't have anything to try here, so I'm gonna grant a judgment for possession to the plaintiff for the $9,606.78. What I will do is give you a little bit of additional time with a writ to issue June 6th over the objection of plaintiff. So if maybe, and by putting it out to the 6th, if you can get the 6 into them, get to Hawk, let them know the position that you're in, and then make sure that your June rent gets paid on time.
Correct.
And then find 600 to get yourself at that $3,000 threshold, and just hope and pray that Hawk can come through for you.
Yes.
You can do it. That's the only way I see this possible.
Okay.
Work. Folks,
Mhm.
all right. So that's what I'll do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Court calls the case of Arbor Woods versus Felicia Hugan
The default.
and Reginald. I'm sorry, and Reginald Hugan.
City of Fontanella for the plaintiff. Your Honor.
Pardon? The Hugans are not here, which is odd. Well, would you like to take a default?
Yes,
Do you
please.
solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
I do.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, there is current rent due of $1,331.91. Court costs of $242 for a total of $1,573.91. And I would request writ to issue after June 2nd, 2025.
Judgment to the plaintiff, that is by default for possession. Redemption amount is in the amount requested with the writ to issue in 10 days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unlike Ms. Taylor, here's Ms. Muffer, a new mother with days to pay $1,300 in back rent using church aid and family's help to avoid eviction. Let's see how the judge handles this.
Northfield Crossing versus Faithland. Is it Leefker? Lefker? Oh,
Hi,
what's your name?
Faithful Mufker.
All right. More importantly, the little one's name.
Charlotte.
Charlotte?
Yes.
How old's Charlotte?
She's
2 months. Okay. All right. And how much do we have owing?
Your Honor, I show that there's rent due of $1,864.20, court costs of $190 for a total of $2,054.20. I do believe Miss Lefker was looking into getting assistance, so I would just inquire with her what the status is of that.
My notes indicate, well, she was gonna pay $750 that day. Did you get that?
I did. I actually have the receipt for the cashier's check as well if needed.
And then I think she was getting help from her church.
I'm getting assistance from a local parish, and I also submitted my paperwork with MI Works. I'm just waiting on the caseworker to update me on what next is happening.
So Ms. Fontanello, do you see a $750 payment?
I do
No.
not, but Miss Lefker, when did you drop off that payment?
I dropped it off. It was that day. I dropped it off on May 16th.
Okay.
I
Sorry.
didn't see it in the portal either.
Yeah, right.
That is-
And the only reason I'm asking is because the balance,
So the balance does not reflect a $750 payment. My clients, the office is closed today, so I could not confirm whether any payment was received today
got it.
or before this.
Oh, okay. But she has a receipt. You just hold on to that.
Okay,
Okay. You told me you were gonna pay it that day, and
yes.
if your receipt, it says the 16th, that's it. So that would bring it down.
1329 is what I was under the assumption that was due, which I will have by the 30th.
You'll
So if
have
we-
that by will you have that by the 30th with the help from the parish or
Yes, with them. And then if they're paying 600 of it,
who is?
the parish.
The parish is gonna pay 600.
And then if MI Works isn't able to cover the other half of it or any of it, my grandma was actually gonna help me get that. But then I have next month's as well on top of that. I get paid on the 30th, so I will have that.
Okay.
I will have.
Tell you what I'm gonna do, and I'll do this over the objection of plaintiff. I'm gonna adjourn it out a week. Let her give a shot at getting it done. So May 30th, 2025, what time? 2 PM. Can you get, now the parish, how will they be paying? Will they be sending it directly to the landlord or will they be sending it to you to get to the landlord?
I believe they send it to me. I asked, but he wasn't
Sure.
clear on it.
Okay.
So
And you'll obviously have your paycheck. Can you get that all paid before, say, noon on the 30th?
if it has to be a cashier's check, I could definitely try my best. I just have to get to the bank to get the cashier's check and then.
Okay. All right, give that a shot. I'm
Okay.
gonna give you a week to try to get it because you at least have a plan here.
Yes.
I think that 750 goes in, so her balance is probably around
It's
1300 or something.
1300-ish. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we'll give you a shot to try to get that paid.
Okay.
Okay? Do that for Charlotte. All right, okay. Take care. I help her with the door. You just went, man,
I got it. I'm just.
no, I know, you're adept at that, but could have. Okay, no, man, I know, that's not your job, but geez.
And this one centers on Ms. Lucas, who shows up with only $700 toward $3,400 in late rent, admitting she spent some of the money repairing her car. The judge's response? Let's find out.
Court calls the case of Arbor Woods versus Dominique Lucas.
City Fontanella for the plaintiff, Your Honor.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hey, what's your name?
Dominique Lucas.
All right. What do we have her balance?
Your Honor, I'm showing that her current rent due is $3,237.16. Court costs of $186 for a total of $3,423.16 currently due.
And what do you have to say? Did you didn't make the payments you said you were gonna make?
No, I had some issues come up, so I had to use the money for my car.
This is your monthly rent. How are you gonna try to get this paid?
I have 700 today, and I can make the rest of the, what was that, be 2736, I believe, by,
Okay, so you're saying you can get this total amount paid by June 4th?
yes,
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do, young lady. I'm gonna find no tribal issue after hearing. I'm gonna grant a judgment for possession for the amount of the $3,423.16. And writ issue, I'll give it June 6, 2025. Over plaintiff's objection, maybe. All right, so you got to the 6th to get all that.
okay,
I would get, if you got the 700 day, get that into them so you get it snapped.
okay,
This judgment doesn't include anything having to do with your June rent.
okay,
It's just the back portion.
okay.
Okay? All right.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
I was,
I answer for it. No, I don't know. Maybe I don't.
I seen you in February. When I seen you in February, did you include March's rent into February?
Whoa. You're okay. I would love to be able to answer your question, but I've probably seen, I don't know how
Okay,
many cases.
okay.
So what was the date in February? You know?
I don't remember the date in February, but I know I had to have everything paid by March 10th, which I did. I don't remember the date in February.
Just a second.
Was it February 28th?
Oh, give me just a second. Let me see what I can find in our system.
She was here in January.
Was it January?
Okay, I don't see a judgment in February. I see a judgment in January.
Okay,
Yeah, it looks like there was a judgment entered on January 24th.
oh, January.
I'm her mother.
Okay, come on up with your daughter. What are you, because you're gonna sit up there and yell at me from the back. What's your name?
Luella. Hi. I think the questions that she's asking when she was in here in January, from her understandings that the February, whatever, the following month was included within that balance.
Okay,
And I think this is where she's getting off a track.
gotcha. So I can't say for sure, but I can tell you that generally, if the judgment was January 24th, February rent was not included in that.
Okay,
Okay, that would only do then.
okay,
Okay,
okay.
all right.
That's good with me.
See, it's good that you have your mom, because I understood what she said. I didn't know what she said. No, I'm kidding.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You take care.
Finally, our last case here is focused on Ms. Thomas, who moved out months ago but still faces eviction court until she proves she surrendered her keys to an apartment she claims had unresolved plumbing issues. Let's see how the judge handles this.
Sandy McFiddish versus Jalea Thomas.
Good morning, Your Honor. David Fancher on behalf of the plaintiff. The current balance on this case, including court costs, is $2,325.
Ms. Thomas, how are you intending on getting that paid?
I'm working on getting in contact with Hawk Housing Assistance for Washington County. That's the best thing I have right now. The house wasn't in the best living situation or suitable situation for me and my child. I asked to be released from the lease. It didn't really work out that way, and so I actually moved. So I have to work out getting the money to them.
Oh, so hold on. You moved out of the premises?
Yes, I left April 15th.
Okay, did you turn in the keys?
The keys were dropped off, yesterday.
Yesterday? Okay, here's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
do, because they're requesting only possession of the premises. You still
I've
may owe the
actually-
money, hold on, but you still may owe the money to them. But this case is for possession of the premises. So if they can verify that you turned in the keys, this case may go away. Okay, you still may owe the money, but
Ms. Thomas, who did you give the keys to?
I was asked to give the keys in the mailbox for maintenance. Well, it wasn't maintenance, but for the leasing officer, like my property manager for that place.
So is the apartment vacant?
Yes, it's been vacant since April 15th.
You've got everything out of there.
Yes.
Your Honor, I think with that representation, And there's nobody else living there, correct?
No, I actually had been asked to get let out of my lease due to plumbing issues, and they wouldn't trying to let me. They tried to make me stay until July.
All right, well, we can figure that out later, but Your Honor, I think I can just dismiss this case based upon her representation that she's out. And
All right.
even if we can't find the keys, I think we can take possession.
They don't know. That's not the picture. I can actually bring it, but there's a picture of the keys in the mailbox at the place.
Okay. Surrendered possession on the record here. They're gonna dismiss the case and they're gonna take possession of the, okay?
Okay, no problem.